I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on the Spotlight Network, we're exploring the timeless beauty of poetry with Joanne Marchant, author of Abstraction, a letter to Emily and Evensong. Inspired by the works of Emily Dickinson, Joanne's poetry captures the profound emotions, vivid imagery, and introspective spirit that fans of great literature will adore. Join us as we delve into her poetic journey, uncovering how she weaves inspiration from one of history's greatest poets into her own art. We're delighted to have this very talented author and poet join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Good River Print and Media for helping us put her in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her amazing book. The links are below the interview. Joanne, great to talk with you today. Thank you for joining me here on Spotlight.
Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. What inspired you to create a collection of poetry inspired by Emily Dickinson?
Well, it came about a bit more casually than that because I liked her poetry so much. It inspired me both to read and write poetry. And I started very young. One of those poems was written when I was 16. And I kept writing poetry just individually until late in my 40s. And then I stopped. I didn't plan to publish at all, okay? But 40 years after I stopped, I started reading my poetry again. I had established a book before I stopped writing poetry, and I made the decision to publish that book and combine poetry into another one because they're very short, and then publish the books together. And that's what I've done.
Wonderful. So these are basically a lifelong's work because you started when you were young and you picked it up years later. And this is a compilation of some of your best works, I'd imagine.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. Tell us about what are the themes that you explore in Abstraction?
What are the themes? I didn't understand. I'm sorry.
What are some of the themes? What are some of the topics? What are some of the subject matters that you explore in your book?
Well, there's a lot of natural themes and just sometimes my own feelings on something. So it varies quite a bit.
Yeah. What was it about Emily Dickinson's work that you enjoyed so much? What did you find so appealing about her work?
It was short. It was a kind of off rhyme. And she was able to kind of hit the nail on the head a number of times for me. And I really, really enjoyed her work. So that's a way of honoring her. My poetry is not Emily Dickinson's poetry, but it was a way of honoring the fact she's been such an inspiration to me.
Yep, basically a hat tip to her saying, I enjoyed your work, now here's mine. And yours is certainly unique and beautiful and wonderful in its own right. Tell us about the title, Abstraction, a letter to Emily and Evensong.
Okay, tell you about the what?
The title of the book, why you chose to call it Abstraction, a letter to Emily and Evensong?
Yes, I'm sorry. Abstraction because it's not clearly fixed on anything. Okay, it's a poetry about a bunch of different things and feelings, and then making it clear that this was a book in honor of Emily Dickinson.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite poem in your collection?
Oddly enough, not. I like all my poetry, and different ones will be my favorite at different times.
Exactly. It's also like asking to choose among children. It's hard to pick your favorite sometimes. So I understand that for sure. And how many poems approximately are in your collection that you've put together here?
I think approximately 50, but give or take a few.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And did you say you're working on a second book now? Tell us what your writing plans are.
I'm sorry I didn't hear you.
I said, are you working on another book, a second book perhaps? Are you working on any more
Uh,
poems?
no, I'm not writing at this time. I haven't been writing since my 40s, but I just made the decision to publish these two books because I thought they might be enjoyed by other people.
Wonderful. So one book is called Abstraction, a letter to Emily and Evensong. What is the title of the second book?
Evensong.
Oh, Evensong. Oh, okay. So these are two different books. Gotcha.
These are two
Absolutely.
different
Absolutely.
titles, yes, and they're
All
combined
right.
together in the same book.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, that is terrific. And how would you say your life experience has impacted your work? Like the things that you've explored in life or experienced in life, how did that affect your poetry?
Well, of course, poetry is about things that have affected you, at least emotionally.
Hmm.
And so I've tried to do some works on natural things which affected me very deeply all my life. And
Hmm.
some some works are on just my feelings.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of different variation there. I don't know how to pinpoint it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. What type of emotions do you hope readers feel when they're reading your poetry?
Um, well, I hope they find something good even when there's painful issues. And I hope they find inspiration to keep fighting for whatever is difficult in their life.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, those are two very worthy goals to find the strength to keep tugging forward and pushing forward despite the challenges that come in our way sometimes during our lives. What advice would you have to others who are thinking about being a poet like you are? How to get started?
Well, I'm saying if you feel that urge to write all the time and you write poetry that you have really worked on and tried to make into thoughts that are beautifully expressed. uh, I would say just keep writing. Okay,
Mm,
publishing is kind of immaterial to the writing. Okay, if you're writing to write poetry and not to publish, which is what I did, then that's okay. Okay, and if you make a decision to publish later on, that's okay too.
yeah. Even if you're just writing in your journal, writing down your thoughts and your feelings in poetic form, they might just stay as your own personal private collection and thoughts, or one day you might decide to publish them like you did. But neither way is the right way or the wrong way. It's your
Right.
way, and that's what's important. Yeah. Now, in Emily Dickinson's work, nature played an important role. How important is nature in your work?
How important is what? I'm sorry,
Is
my
nature?
hearing is not what it used to be.
No worries. How important is nature in your poetry?
Oh, very
Nature, the
important.
environment. Yeah.
Very important because I was raised kind of isolated in a very natural environment for many years. Okay, and
Mhm.
that influence certainly comes into my poetry.
Yeah. Where were you raised? Were you raised somewhere off the grid a little bit?
Yes, northern Wisconsin before it became an inhabited area, it was a summer resort area, so it was not very populated, especially in the winter. Okay,
Yeah.
in the summer
Mm.
it would be populated, but in the spring, fall, and winter it was not very populated, and so the natural world had a tremendous influence.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably a little lonely, a little isolated, a little desolate that time of year. It's all frozen over, lots of snow, lots of ice. Probably very beautiful also, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And when there's that much beauty, there's a sense of isolation and loneliness, yes, but there's also the sense of being surrounded by something so much larger than yourself that
Yeah.
it's really inspiring.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been through northern Wisconsin and it is beautiful country, no doubt. So I can see why you found your inspiration in part there to pen such a beautiful collection of poetry, a couple of collections of poetry, as a matter of fact. We've been talking with Joanne Marchant. She's the author of two books, Abstraction, a letter to Emily, and Evensong. Inspired by the works of Emily Dickinson, Joanne's poetry captures profound emotions, vivid imagery, and introspective spirit that fans of great literature will adore. Joanne, thank you so much for joining me here today on Spotlight. It's been my pleasure. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.